all right, I have to build a new foundation for a life for myself. And just getting tools from that was pivotal for me. Just getting introduced to meditation, getting introduced to journaling. There's one-on-one therapy there and group therapy there. They had stuff in nature, which I get up and walk outside every morning now. So it's like all these tools I learned back then to kind of start to just get in tune with myself.
Welcome to Shaping Freedom. These conversations are about how freedom is actually formed, what we inherit, what stops working, and the choices that change how we live and lead. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Darren Waller is a pro ball tight end. He's a musician, and he's an advocate whose journey speaks to evolution in real time. He was drafted into the NFL in 2015, rose to become one of the top players at his position, and at the same time began exploring music as an outlet for expression and reflection. And that has grown into a parallel path for him. After stepping away from the game, following a serious health moment, he entered a period of recalibration, focusing on his own well-being, his creativity, and what matters most to him. He has since returned to the field with a renewed perspective while continuing to build his voice through music and through the Darren Waller Foundation. This conversation will be about identity and legacy and the choices that shape who we become and who we are becoming. So welcome to this conversation, Darren.
That's probably the greatest intro I've heard. So I'm honored to just be a part of this conversation and where it's heading.
Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation for a couple of reasons. One is I really was excited to see that there are some parallels, I think, in parts of our journey around like, what do you do when people are like, well, you are this, and therefore you're supposed to be, and I expect you to be this, and how we are able to navigate those kind of expectations. So I want to chat about that. But first, I want to go back a little bit and kind of ground people in like who you are and who you were before you had a shift, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. I guess I can start from growing up. I was born in Maryland, Landover, Maryland. Then shortly after I was born, our family moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado. And then right before I think I started kindergarten, we moved to Georgia and was in Marietta for, I want to say, a year or so. And then set up in Ackworth, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes northwest of Atlanta. And that's where I grew up. I had two parents in the home. I had an older sister. Hard to find a better place to grow up than where I did, no external factors that were rough. Good schools, good everything that you needed. I think my parents did a great job of raising us. And yeah, just it was, but for me as a kid growing up, it was really tough for me internally. Um, Always feeling like I was looking to the people around me for a sense of validation because I didn't necessarily feel like I was enough just as I was as a kid. I felt like there's a lot of times where I wasn't black enough. Like people of our skin color were telling me like I wasn't black enough. And then it was like at times if I was around athletes, I was too nerdy. If I was in the classes in like AP and honors classes, I was like one of the only black kids in there that dressed the way I dressed, listened to hip hop and all that stuff. So it's like everywhere I went, I kind of felt like I was just trying to find a way to like, how can I be accepted? I feel like that's like a need for humans. And I was desperately wanted that as a kid, and felt like I had to perform to get that a lot, which I think provided a lot of fuel for me wanting to be good at sports and get all these good grades and do all these things to just kind of present to people like, look at me, like I'm worthy of love in a way. So I think that's a lot of my early life, and that kind of sparked a lot of choices that I made down the road, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's, I don't know how common a story is, but it's a story but it certainly resonates with me and some of the challenges, growing up in Brooklyn. I'm first generation. My father was Haitian. I am light skinned. And so, being in groups of other Black kids, it was like, you're not Black, you know? And then it was like, well, you're not American. And so I think that sometimes when we are placed in situations where we, for whatever reason, kind of incorporate that into who we believe we are at the time because we're facing some of those challenges, it can be very painful. But it also, I think, sometimes gives us a sense of compassion and understanding and acceptance for other people because we know what it's like to be the other, in one way or another.
I think I wanted so desperately in those moments just to be seen for who I was and kind of be understood in a way. Like I wanted to, yeah, just be safe to explore who it is that I wanted to be, as opposed to thinking I need to be who somebody else expects me to be or wants me to be to feel safe. It was like I wanted that bad to be to be like, just like I felt like my uniqueness was wrong. I see today now it was like it's a gift to be myself and not be uh like anyone else. Like I'm very similar in the form of humanity and things that we deal with, but in who I am, I'm very unique as we all are. But I wish I had that perspective when I was a kid, but that's not how life works, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it's also important for those who are listening who have children who may feel like they are similarly different in a way that is not positive. I think that the more that we who are adults can share with children and young people that, who you are is fine, and it's all going to be okay. You just got to get through those couple of years of craziness, and it's going to be okay. And who you are matters. And we're here for a reason. I wanted to go to, and I always think it's hilarious because I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't really watch football.
I love that. To be honest, I love that.
I'm just saying, I don't. I don't. So even in the beginning in the intro, when I was like a pro ball tight end, I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but I'm gonna assume I'm just gonna say it for those who listen who understand it. But I will ask at the beginning of your NFL journey, like who were you then as a person? Like not just as a player, but as a human being at that point in your life.
Yes, at the beginning of my professional career, I was 23, fresh out of college. I mean, in the peak, right around the peak of like my drug addiction, alcoholism, just like that was what was taking over everything that I was doing at that time. I mean, I felt like there was almost like living a double life. Like there was you got the version of me that was like, smiling, laughing, showed up to work, worked hard, knew what I was supposed to do, my responsibilities and everything, and was somebody that people liked having around and interacting with. But when I left the building and when I was by myself, it was just like a whole different person and making, everything kind of revolved around my addiction at the time and just really isolated, really a lot of shame at the core. Just, yeah, a lot, really alone, really stuffing a lot of pain and feelings away to just keep trudging along this NFL path that I set out on, with hopes that it would, free me from everything that I was feeling or make me bring me this deep sense of fulfillment, but it wasn't doing that at the time. And, I was numbing myself to avoid the fact that this wasn't necessarily the life that I think I wanted for myself. Like I was successful, but I didn't know if this was like what I truly wanted. So it was a really emotionally and mentally complex time for me as I'm navigating playing a professional sport, which kind of started to come out in suspensions and things like that.
Mhm. And what did success look like for you at that time?
It kind of like a general male American definition of success, I guess. Like
What
if I
is
got
that,
to the
by the way?
league,
Because I don't even know. I want
I think
to.
I think personally it's extremely financially successful career, having a sense of like when you walk in the room, people are like oh, that's that guy that made it to the league from where we came from, having access to a lot of women and just a lot of surface level things. And I was like, oh, I'm checking the boxes on all these things, but I'm like, where's the where's like the joy? Like where's the feeling that I thought I would get from getting to this place? So I felt like I was successful on paper, but it felt like it was somebody else's definition of success. It didn't feel like I consciously sat down and defined like what is success for me. It took a few more years before I even started looking at that for myself. So I'm just kind of here like holding the mask up, like I'm here, I made it, like
I'm doing
we're
all the
rich,
things you said I was supposed to
we're
do.
balling, we're rich, but
Yeah.
I'm dying on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. So the decision to play ball, how did that come to be? Was this a decision that you made? Was it just kind of the momentum that you built through school, through high school, or how did you wind up making that decision?
So starting playing football in general, I must have saw something on TV when I was 4 years old. I remember watching like all these old like NFL films. It's like they have footage from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s of football. And I used to just sit in front of the TV and watch those. I don't even know how I originally started watching it. Just found it on TV because my dad's from Queens. That's basketball country. And my mom is from Maryland, but it's not a football family by any means. So it's something that I came across and they put me into football because I guess they saw me watching it. And from the jump, like I naturally had a feel for playing to where it was like, it just looked like I was a lot different than all the other kids that were playing. So I kind of naturally had a gift, I guess. And um, so it was just something that I was like, okay, like, this is something I'm going to do. I enjoyed it as a kid. It didn't feel like it had a bunch of pressure. It didn't feel like it had a bunch of expectations. It was just like, I love playing football. My mom talked about me sleeping with the football and all this stuff. So, and then just kept going with football. It was some struggles early, my first couple of years of high school, to where I was really a lot smaller than everybody else. It took me a while to hit a growth spurt and be like on the varsity teams and all that stuff. And then I got some college scholarship offers from there and then was able to do enough in college to get drafted into the NFL. But yeah, I remember early on as graduating high school and being like, oh, like you made it, you're going to play Division I football, was like the highest level of college football in America. And it was just like, yeah, it's cool, but I'm honestly more like afraid and feel like more pressure and like, because even at that time I was like, man, thinking like, I don't even know if I want to play football, but I feel like I kind of have to. I feel like I'm squandering this opportunity that nobody gets. Anybody would kill to be in your position. Feeling I didn't know how to feel the tension of that and choose something that may disappoint people, I guess. So I just went along with it. And there's a lot of moments of joy in football, but it was a huge drain on me as well because I was pouring from an empty cup a lot of the time, I think.
Yeah. I think there are people, while we're talking now about football, and I think that there are a lot of people who experience that where they're really good at something and they get the accolades and the reward for being really good at it. And there's this tension inside between what success looks like and what it should look like and how you're actually carrying the burden of that on the inside. And whether it's about football or about you need to, I'm first generation Haitian. You're supposed to get into some kind of a white collar professional thing, and and it looks great, and you're six figures, and you have the corporate card and all that great stuff. But it's so important to be aligned on the inside and calibrated on the inside. Did you realize that there was a disconnect within you, or how did you look at that tension or that conflict? Did you feel like I should be feeling a certain way, or was it kind of like I'm gonna get out of here? I'm gonna do something different.
A lot of what you just said, a lot of shooting myself to death is what I've
Yes.
heard, how I've heard it put. A lot of yeah, a lot of black and white thinking of seeing like whether I play football or not is the right decision or a wrong decision versus like allowing myself to have the experience I'm having with like, I don't know, I'm feeling some tension here. I just saw it from that lens of like, well, I have to. People would be so disappointed. People would look at me like I'm an idiot, or that's the only way that I knew how to see it. And I couldn't. at that time, I don't think I knew it as like a tension that I needed to explore emotionally as a part of just like my voice and my truth. But I look back now and I was like, I definitely was feeling that tension and kind of collapsed into, yeah, what I thought I should be doing and feeling.
So sometimes in life, things happen and they slow us right on down. You know?
Yes, 1000%.
What did you being in that space, like what did that do for you?
Mm, yeah. So just to provide some context, this was 2017. What would have been my third year of playing in the NFL. And the year before, I got suspended for 4 games for violating the substance abuse policy. Um, and then what would have been my third year in the league, I got banned for at least a year was the words the NFL used, for continuing to like fail drug tests and just still using anyways, And that was June of 2017. And then in 2 months into my suspension, August 11th, 2017, I had my drug of choice was like Percocet, like opiates, painkillers. And I was in Baltimore, and some people that I've been picking up the pills from had told me that to be careful because people are pressing pills and putting the logo on a pill, but it could be basically fentanyl. And I was kind of thinking like, nah, it's not going to happen to me. And then August 11th, 2017 was my day. And and I took some pills that I normally got and thought, this is what I usually take, and it pulled the plug on me, and I OD'd in this parking lot, right around the grocery store parking lot, right around the corner from the Baltimore Ravens practice facility, which was the team I was on at the time. And waking up from that was the let's park you for a minute moment in my life, to because that was the first moment where I got out of that illusion of I'm in control. I got this thing figured out. I got life figured out.
How old were you at the time?
This was a month before my 25th birthday. So I
Okay.
was 24. And that moment, I was like, all right, I'm open to something different because I don't know what's going on now. Like I'm playing with my life here. So went to rehab after that about a month later, and that was one of the foundational experience for the transformation in my life, because that's where slowly started to open up a little bit and crack open my heart, and just like everything that had been going on that I had just been like stuffing down on the inside of me. And I could start to feel over those 30 plus days I was there, starting to feel like a little bit lighter, and starting to my perspective starting to shift of like, all right, thinking like football is kind of out of the question. That not thinking it would ever come back into play. So it was approaching it from like, all right, I have to build a new foundation for a life for myself. And just getting tools from that was pivotal for me. Just getting introduced to meditation, getting introduced to journaling. There's one-on-one therapy there and group therapy there. All things that I continue to this day. And like they had stuff in nature, which I get up and walk outside every morning now. So it's like all these tools I learned back then to kind of start to just get in tune with myself, because my life to that point had just been like suppressing anything I had going on, self-abandonment really, to pursue something externally. And that was the first experience I had of just like pouring into myself and just putting the external on hold, because there was nothing I could do to be externally impressive at that time. So I think the universe was working in my favor right there when I couldn't see it.
It's like, sit down, Darren. Um, we talk a lot about the legacy that we want to leave, but what about the one that we're living in right now? I'm Lisane Basquiat. I'm a board-certified NLP expert and a legacy healing strategist. I created Shaping Freedom to help our community move from autopilot to authority. Whether it's through my podcast, the Lounging with Lisane meditations, or our signature candles and journals, I provide the elite tools that you need to heal and to lead your family more effectively. Own your evolution. Visit shapingfreedom.com. That's shapingfreedom.com. Sometimes things happen in life and they kind of slow things down, so much so that we have a chance to see and become more aware of some of the patterns that drove us to the place that we wind up at. What were some of the patterns that you were able to see being in that space of receptivity, I guess, to the lessons that were presenting themselves to you?
Yeah, that knowing that, okay, I have learning that I have a drug and alcohol problem, but it's really not a drug and alcohol problem. It's like, this is what I'm going to cope with some level of pain. So it's like, it's one step to stop using and achieve and maintain sobriety, which is an important step. But also the step of like, why was that pain even there in the first place? Like,
Yeah.
how do we connect with that? How do we feel that? How do we grieve that? And just through learning, there's a lot of like rejection wounds in my life that I felt growing up publicly, with women, with peers. Um, and there was also like, both my parents come from addicted households. Both my dad's parents were addicts. My mom's dad was an addict. And so there's certain like a level of, the almost like the codependency that they had to grow up with to survive in those environments. There just like wasn't room for them to have like a emotional depth to them in those households. So it's like it wasn't necessarily brought to ours. So it's like I'm kind of not really knowing how to deal with what I'm feeling or feeling too safe to feel it. So it's like a lot of those things going up, just kind of feeling alone everywhere I went, like feeling alone at home a lot, feeling alone in public with peers, all these things. And it's just like, how do I get rid of that? How do I just get a chance to exhale? So it's like starting to take a deeper look at all that and looking at how me operating from that space, how it affects my relationships with women, relationships with friends, kind of like abandoning not only just like relationships with women, but male friendships from in my life as well. Just feeling like a lot of that shame, that isolation I was talking about earlier, projecting that onto other people, thinking they're seeing me the way that I see myself, and continuing to withdraw and just numb the way that I know how to numb. So just picking up on those things, um, in rehab, and starting to go to meetings, just getting around people to where like vulnerability was kind of the standard, because vulnerability was far from the standard for me in my life. It was just like a lot of lying, a lot of hiding, a lot of, manipulating. So just kind of starting to understand like, wow, like this vulnerability, it's uncomfortable. But when I get on the other side of doing it and allow myself to be seen in that vulnerability, it feels so much more refreshing. So those are kind of some of the things that I started to learn about myself in rehab. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to stick to this and keep this going because this feels a lot better than what I was doing before.
Yeah, it's like once you start to see yourself, it's hard to unsee, and you kind of want more because it's that door that you open up to yourself. So like that relationship or those relationship challenges are about the way that you're relating to other people, but most importantly, it's about how you're really relating to yourself that winds up reflected in the relationships that you have with, your romantic relationships and your friendships and everything else. Um, and I think you bring up another really important point, and that is that so in my life, I was raised primarily by my father, and my father was Haitian, first generation, pretty strict and all that great stuff. And my mom had some, mental health issues that she was grappling with. And so there wasn't a lot of, well, I was always really well taken care of. And my parents co parented in a phenomenal way, really respectful of each other. And, we had that sense of stability, even though we grew up in his household. There was never this feeling that there was space for feelings because it was very much a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of kind of household, right? And so feelings weren't really a part of the conversation. And but when you look back at what kind of the emotional legacy that gets passed on from one generation to the next, sometimes it's not a literal thing. Maybe it's not substance abuse that passes from one generation to the next. Sometimes it's avoidance or, repression or some of these other things that wind up in your life that you really have a hard time putting your finger on until you have that moment of sitting down, like in those quiet moments of stillness where you can say, oh, wow, wait a minute. I'm here and maybe it's Percocet or whatever it is that you're doing, but this is really about something else.
Yeah, and it's taken me, I mean, shoot, I've been sober from drugs and alcohol. This August will be 9 years. And it's taken me until like really these last 2 years to uncover a lot of what you're just saying and what we've been discussing, because I feel like I got sober in 2017, and in less than 2 years, I went from getting out of rehab and getting a job at Sprouts Farmers Market, being a grocery clerk, to being one of, if not the best at my position in the NFL, signing a big contract, like got successful really fast. And that kind of distracted me from the fact like I had gotten sober, and it was like my life is externally a lot better. Like I'm not doing anything to sabotage my life. But at the same time, I think of like the picture of the iceberg where there's like a little bit of the ice above the water, but then there's like this huge piece underneath that I had never looked at, which is a lot of this stuff. And then I saw my addiction start to manifest itself through other behaviors, through like love addictions, sex addiction, like and then like having my eyes opened up to it like that a couple years ago, like, oh wow, like there's still something that needs to be looked at, which then I got pointed to all this information of looking at my early life, looking at what had been passed down, all this, and to where I feel like I'm finally taking those steps to not only having this information, but kind of like embodying and integrating a more healed way and different patterns now. But yeah, it's been a wild journey.
I can imagine that unpacking, man. That unpacking it's a courageous game. It's courageous and it's challenging, but so rewarding. The thing is that we focus so much on money, on achievement. Like if you just achieve the things, whatever the things are, right? If you achieve things, you're going to be safe, right? You're going to get safe and you're going to feel safe. And for you at a young age, you started to achieve some of those things that people talk about as kind of like that end game that you need to get to. But the wealth that we actually wind up passing, there's this generational wealth from a financial perspective that so many people are striving to be able to do. Like success looks like I'm going to build all this stuff, and I'm going to get a trust and all these great things. And I'm going to understand how the world works financially. And then I'm going to give it to you and I'm successful. Right. But there's this emotional and mental component to what we inherit that I believe is so much more important than that, because it weaves itself into the experience even of receiving what, gets bestowed upon you. So the fact that you were put into a situation where you had to, for your own survival, start to look at that stuff and confront yourself and become more accountable to yourself is a wonderful thing, because everything that happens afterwards is going to be clean success, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful for the experience of having achieved such material external success, and realizing, I guess, like how empty it is on its own, um, and seeing like just how yeah, how much of the opposite I felt of wealth on the inside, to now be able to share that experience, and also like, flip the script, like change that definition for myself, because you think about building all the stuff, giving it to somebody. It's like, think about how many of those people have abandoned like real connections with their families or friends, and have abandoned themselves in a lot of ways to acquire all of that. And I see that in myself, and it's like, man, that's no fulfilling life. I mean, I think there's room for both, but just that without the the inner work and just like that bleeds you to that sense of fulfillment, and to be able to have that clean success is, I don't think that's a life worth living. So I'm grateful to be on this path, as painful as it can be sometimes.
Listen, it is, but you get rid of it, and I'm telling you, you integrate those two, and there's no stopping you, especially with the success and talent that you have, in the game and other things. How has your relationship with yourself changed over the years?
Changed a lot, especially since getting sober. That was like the first step in like, all right, I'm start getting on my side now. I'm like an advocate for me, and taking that time and getting sober and like starting to implement these tools in my life. Those were like some of the baby steps. And then you know, through all the success in the league, and then through like navigating, being married briefly, and then having that deteriorate through a lot of ways in which that I, um, kind of sabotage that, and then learning through that wow, like I approach love from a place of like survival rather than like a conscious choice. And so that's like the next layer of like, these are all the ways I need to show for myself, like learning all these parts of myself, connecting to those younger versions of me that felt that rejection, that are projecting onto these people and these partners. Like that's where, and over these 2 years has been where the most shift in my relationship with myself has been, because it's been through stepping away from football and retiring, and really allowing the grief of divorce, the grief of retirement, the grief of needing some the external validation to all just like run through me, and to feel all that and feel how painful it is. But it's led me to such deeper and richer like work, and learning how to just sit with myself, sit with what I'm feeling, as uncomfortable as it may be, take time away from trying to run to relationships. That's a lot another way that I could distract myself. Just really learning what intimacy really is, and how it has to like start with me. Because if it's not starting with me, I'm gonna be trying to manipulate or extract it from somebody else through how I can perform or whatever it may be. But yeah, these last couple years since the divorce has really woken me up to that iceberg underwater, which has had a lot to do with like getting back to just is returning from a lot of self abandonment in so many different ways.
Yeah. Where are you with football now? Are you still playing?
Yeah, I returned back to playing in 2025, and didn't know how it would go. I'm considered like old and in football now, because I'm 30. I was 33. I'll be
Oh, you're so
34
old. So old.
this season. So I'm a free agent right now. I don't know when an opportunity will present itself to play, but um, just from how I felt playing last year, a lot more clean success, like you were describing, when I played last year, and I felt like there's more meat left on the bone there to be enjoyed. But I can't control when or if an opportunity comes, so I'm just doing the training right now to be ready if that is what the universe has in store for me. So I'm preparing myself to play, which will be my 10th season this year.
That's fantastic. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about music. So I understand that you started to explore music while you were playing ball. What drew you to that?
Um, so my draw to music was there when I was a kid. I mean, my parents had me and my sister playing piano, which I loved, and I was in like the band in middle school, and just loved it and loved music, just loved digesting music and hearing it, experiencing it. And I remember being in band and then thinking like, and being around like, my peers, and they're like, well, you can't choose band over football. Like, that's not cool. Like in high school. So it's like, I you know, kind of kicked the music to the curb from eighth grade until probably around when I graduated college. I had a jazz history class. I think it was the summer before my senior year of college. And the instructor of the class like came up to me and was like, you are Fats Waller's great grandson. Like, you need to pay attention. You need to learn from this, like, and take all this in. This is like your family, like your legacy. And I was just like blown away by that. And at that time, like, the guys on my team would put on like instrumentals and like freestyle to the beats. And my brain was always moving too fast to like flow with the beat. I would come with like 2 lines and people would be like, damn, but then I couldn't keep going. And I was like, if I wrote something down, I feel like I might be all right. And then at that moment and then learned about my great grandfather, somehow I was like, you know what? I'm just about to just go for it. This is 2015 when I started writing my first songs. It was like the same week I got drafted into the NFL. And I've been going ever since. I don't think I told anybody that I was making music my first couple of years because it just didn't. I'm recording myself. I'm trying to like rip beats off the internet to record on, and so it's just like a process. And then I connected with a couple guys that went to school back where I grew up, and they found out that I made music, and then I started building relationships with them. They were producers, and just started putting shots up, just getting my reps in. And over the time, it's been 10 years, almost 11 years now that I've been making music, and it's like it's been such a rewarding journey. It's like the first thing I feel like that I chose to do in my life because like this is just because I want to do it. Like it's not because of somebody else's expectations. And if anything, a lot of the way people have been like, like the first thing you said when you hop on here, like, why are you doing this? Like you are the tight end, you are you're in the NFL, like, and having to, just kind of eat those bullets and keep walking and keep recording and keep putting it out, whether people love it or they're like, what is this? It's a lot of lessons in that. It's a lot of ways to help kind of like build like an authentic confidence in myself through that. I think it's been such a balance for me because it fills my cup back up when I'm pouring my cup out into all the football stuff. And so yeah, it's been lovely. And I feel like I'm still, in a way, I feel like I'm a beginner, even though I've been doing it for a while, because I feel like I'm just going to new levels with just the sound and like the things that I'm trying to convey in these songs. It's just yeah, it's giving a mic to all my different parts. And I feel like it's just a lot of healing going on with that.
Did you feel any connection um, to your family name around, to Fats Waller? Did you feel any of that, any apprehension about jumping into music, or how has that influenced or informed what you're doing with music?
Um, I have since I first really started learning about him, and even still now, have only seen that as an invitation into creating. Because I know my dad's father, my grandfather was a musician and would like do gigs, and but since him, I don't know of anybody in my family that has really kept that alive or tapped into it. Yeah. So it's like I see that as an opportunity, and almost in a way, in like an ancestral way, my great grandfather like reaching out to me uh to say like, this is in you.
You got this in there if you so choose to use it.
Right. So I feel encouraged and empowered by that to keep going and to, try to detach as much as possible from the streaming numbers and the views and all that stuff, and just to, be in love with the process and what it's bringing out of me, and that feeling of satisfaction of bringing an idea to life and giving a voice to what's inside of me, because it is such a amazing feeling to just go about this process.
Yeah. Is that similar to the way that you approach playing the game of football?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that are just like universal, a lot of things that I've taken from the game that I now apply to music. I mean, one especially is just like, um, I think that's helped me my sound grow. Is just like being coachable and like learning to like take advice and not feeling like I always know everything. Like with my engineer, like he's learn to implement what he's suggesting to me, and to take challenges, to take risks. A lot of time in football, like I feel like my game grew because I started to try new things and new route patterns that a lot of people my size and my position didn't run, but I was able to become effective at them because I was just trying them, and just I would slip and fall on some, but then I'd eventually get the movement down, which is a lot of what I think with the music. It's like learning like, okay, like in a lot of ways, like I really over these 11 years, I don't have any proper musical training. I've just been winging it. So it's just like through winging it, I've met people that have helped me to like, hey, like, you know, I feel like you got more conviction in what you're saying on these songs. It's like, oh, boom, add that to my toolkit. I feel like, hey, like this section might be too wordy. Like, how can you say it without as many words? Like, okay, boom, add that to my toolkit. So I'm like developing, becoming more versatile in the music that I'm making. So I see a lot of parallels, and especially through my football career, especially like professionally. My first 2 years, I was on special teams, which is kind of like I was like a marginal person. I was like barely making the roster. And then my third year, I was suspended. My fourth year, I came back. I was on the practice squad, which is not even like the active roster for the team. And then my fifth season was the first year that I started playing, earned a valuable role on the team, and my career started to blossom. And so I look at that and I'm like, the good came from being able to just stick with the process and the endurance to just keep showing up, even when it's like, I don't think I'm getting the results or the rewards that I think I want or deserve at this time. And I bring it over to music because it's so easy for me to being so stat driven with football to be like, oh, well, the streams or the views or how many people like this, how many people are, it's just like, no, I'm gonna keep persisting. I'm gonna keep making this because A, because I want to make it. And B, it's like you never know what could come from this. You never know how many people can be touched by this. I didn't know what my football career would be at the time. So I take those lessons from football and bring them over to how I create.
That's kind of the perspective that I hear from most artists, no matter what, kind of art they're expressing. It's kind of focusing on what you're creating versus the external noise, right? And there's such a discipline to that because you have to be fully present in order to create and build and flourish in whatever the art is, whether it's playing football or music or whatever it is, and being able to have that discipline around not worrying as much about the external and more about like what the thing is that you're birthing. That's the side. That's what every artist that I've spoken with and that I know uh, leans on, and it seems to be a consistent behavior, consistent practice of just creating. And don't worry about it, right? Because it's not done yet. So why stop to worry about it? You know? Yeah. Um, your favorite music project has been what?
Like a body of work or a single song or
I don't know. Whatever hopped up for you.
what's speaking to me a lot right now is there's this song me and my engineer, his name is J Rod. He's like a super talented, like he's unbelievable an engineer, but also producer and also making like a singer R&B kind of vibe. And we made a song together. We have a joint project that we finished that we're going to be releasing relatively soon. But we have a song called Choose Myself, and so it's a lot of like what we've been talking about. Like when you ask me how my relationship with myself has grown, that's what exactly what I'm discussing in my two verses on that song. And J Rod does the hook, and it's like over this amazing beat, like kind of like a jazz kind of feel. It's that's probably like I hear that song and I'm like, I'm proud that my name and my legacy will be attached to a song like that.
Wow. That's big.
I'll look back however far from now and be like, that's something worth leaving behind right there. Like that's how I feel about that song. So that's probably my favorite one that I've been a part of. And it changes, it varies from time to time, like which one is my favorite. But that one, for some time now, when I listen to that song, it's like, man, like I feel like I should listen to myself more.
It's funny. I hear you talking, and I'm watching you, for the video part of this. And when you talk about football, it seems like it's something that you do really, really well. Like the game. The game is part of you. You know that, and there's a confidence that I detect around that. But when you talk about music, you light up
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah.
When you speak about music, there's something energetically that just kind of lights up for you and within you, and you're kind of a glow. And it's kind of beautiful to watch, because it's like it's in your heart. It's not that football isn't, and not that you don't enjoy the game. And obviously, that's what you're doing with part of your life. But the creative aspects of music seem to be part of your heartbeat,
Yeah,
you know?
I receive that, and I definitely see that as the truth, and like just learning how I feel and just inside myself. Yeah, and I've honestly felt shame a lot about that throughout most of my career. Like even in the peak of my career, in my playing, probably like 2019, 2020, 2021 were probably like the years where I was most dominant, I guess. And even in those times, I'm like, I mean, this playing this game like gives me like a big high, and it's like it feels satisfying, but it's like I still love making music more, but I would never say it. I would never
Really? Well,
express
you just
that because
did. You
yeah,
just
yeah.
did.
Yeah, so it's like now it's just like
Thank you.
owning that and not stuffing that away because it's like what you recognize is definitely the truth.
It seems like it's a part of you, right? And if you're not owning the love that you feel for something, how can you own the love that you feel for anything?
Mm,
It's a part of you. And so that's the
wow,
truth,
you just said a word right there. Yeah,
whether you say it or
yeah.
not, it's all over you. You're just like, yeah, football, I'm really good at it. Football, right? And then you're just like, yeah, and that's my career, and we'll see what happens. And, I'm a free agent and all that. And then you're like, music.
Can't sit still.
I'm like, music, that's the thing, right? And I
Yeah.
feel that. And lean into that. Lean into that. Um, Before we go, can we talk about the Darren Waller Foundation and what it is that you hope that people get out of that, or tell us about that?
Yeah, so the Darren Waller Foundation came out of for me when I had went to rehab. The NFL paid for me to go to rehab, so it was an experience that I got to have without me having to pay a dime for it, and it was transformational for me. So I thought with my platform, it would be cool to give that to people that aren't able to afford that for themselves. So we've been giving scholarships basically for people to go to detox. 30 days inpatient treatment, and then up to 2 years of sober living after in the Las Vegas Valley area. Since 2021, I think we just passed putting like 100 people um, through treatment through that program. And it's like
That's
it's
amazing. Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. It's been really fulfilling. There's a great support network of board members and my family that have been able to make this happen. So it's been a really cool journey. I never thought that from my journey would so many people would be able to be helped, and just like even through doing the work, like how many people have come forward and said like they're dealing with it or they're one person removed from um, uh, addiction and the abuse of substances because of that pain that's inside of them. So it's been really cool to get to know people as well as serve those that we've been able to connect with so far. So just looking to keep that going.
That's fantastic. If there was one thing that you want to make sure that you get to say during this conversation, what would it be?
Um, Something that I want people to know is, at this point in my life, I'm in a very uncertain place as far as like what the future of football looks like for me. And even like with that kind of being on the back end of my career, however long that lasts, what what is specifically will be for me or a path for me after football, I don't really know with much specificity right now, and it comes with a lot of different emotions that I have to sit with, and I feel like as people, a lot of times, even sometimes with me, I feel like in some way we're failing if we feel that, but in reality, I would want people to know that, and even as I'm walking through this right now, this is almost like a path of like initiation to like the next um version of who we're supposed to be. And that doesn't come without first grieving who we've been, what we feel like we've had to uphold, and letting go of certain things. If you're calling something better into your life, don't be surprised if the universe starts stripping things away. And I feel like I'm just kind of in the middle of that right now. And so I just want people to just know that that's where I'm at, and I'm still just trying to choose to move forward, still do the things that bring me joy, and just walk through this knowing that whatever is for me next will find me, as long as I'm in alignment with myself. And I hope that everybody that is listening feels the same way, no matter what phase of life they may be in. So that's what I would like to say.
Yeah. You walk and the path gets built under your feet. How can we support you, Darren?
Um, yeah, just walk alongside me. Follow me. On Instagram. Rackwall is my name on Instagram, Twitter, and or X now, and TikTok. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm sharing a lot of behind the scenes stuff with the music journey, music videos, workout footage. Just trying to put myself out there, and just like, yeah, have to get a lot of people to see me and what I'm doing and where I'm at and all that I'm experiencing. So if you feel inspired, follow me, and love to connect.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing so generously. And sometimes, we're going through our own situations and they can be painful and tough and all of that. And sharing and not keeping things inside helps more people than you know. So I appreciate the fact that you're willing to share so generously, and that you're also willing to share all the sides of you and all the things that are going on. Right? It's a story of triumph and of courage and of the willingness to play with life, to play with the experiences that come your way and to make decisions about how you're going to move forward. So I appreciate that. And I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. Thank you.
I've really enjoyed it too, and yeah, appreciate the way that you're using your platform. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and yeah, wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.